The topic I'm going to be talking about today is if paying child support is enough to call yourself a parent. I was watching my last video and I really missed a lot of points that I really wanted to talk about. So I made a cheat sheet for this one. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. Before I get into how I feel about the topic, I do want to go into some background information. People often hear the word child support and they assume that a male is paying child support to a female, and it's not always the case. When two people fight for custody, women win custody about 65% of the time. The court system is flawed. It is set up for a female to get custody. They automatically make the assumption that a woman is nurturing and caring and loving, and they place the child with her. Also, if the male has any type of criminal background, his chances of getting custody go down drastically. And in situations where they feel the father is unfit and the mother is unfit, then they result in giving custody to someone else, like a grandmother or godparent or something like that. So, moving on. Technically, you are a parent if your genetic material was used to create a child. According to basic biology, you are a parent. When I looked up the definition of being a mother, it said to bring up a child with care and affection. This requires a lot of effort, and it requires a lot of strength, and it requires you to dedicate your life to this child. And this means putting your own life on pause. All of a sudden, the things that you were doing are no longer important. Going to social functions, hanging out with your friends, things like that, they don't matter anymore. Your number one priority is your child. Moving on, money can't change a diaper, and money can't take care of a child when they're sick. Even though money could, which I'll get into later, buy a diaper and could buy medicine, it doesn't take care of a child. Even though money could buy food, if there's no one there to feed the child, then it's pointless. Sending money does not make you a mother or a father. Supporting your child mentally, physically, financially, and emotionally, that's what makes you a mother or a father. Moving on. Earlier, I said that child support could buy diapers and could buy medicine and could buy food. And I say that because child support is not always enough. And that's if child support is being paid at all. Some people don't pay any child support. And if the government can't keep tabs on those people, the case of child support just disappears. And for the people that the government can keep tabs on, if they fall behind on so many payments, they end up getting arrested. And when they're arrested, they can't pay child support. And they're in jail, which means that my tax dollars and your tax dollars are going to take care of them. So now not only are they not paying child support, now we are paying child support for them. And that is ridiculous. So I found some statistics that I want to share. In 2017, the average amount of child support being paid in the US was $430 a month. When you take that $430 and you multiply it by 12, it comes out to about $5,000. And it sounds like a lot because it's in the thousands, but when you divide that number by 365, because there's that many days in a year, it comes out to about $14.14 a day, which is the same price as a pepperoni pizza. So, without insurance, the cost of having a baby in the hospital ranges in between $5,000 and $14,000. And this just depends on whether you want to have the child vaginally or have a C-section. And when you include that in the necessary doctor visits, and those include things like prenatals and finding out the gender and ultrasounds and blood work and creating a delivery plan with your doctor, this number comes out to well over $30,000. And all of a sudden, your $14 that you're contributing every day isn't helping. That's just the cost to have the baby. According to National Diaper Bank, a baby uses in between 8 to 12 diapers a day. This adds up to about $1,000 a year. If that baby is also using formula, the cost of formula adds up to $1,800 a year. Sometimes people can't breastfeed, or they're not there to breastfeed. So in that case, the baby has to use formula. Even if someone were to breastfeed, it's still expensive. Breast pumps are around $250. They have to pay for storage bags. Nursing equipment is way over $100. And they also need a lactation consultant. And this person helps find the best position for the mother and the baby. It helps the mother because when babies start teething, they bite down around the nipple and it causes the mother a lot of pain. And in some cases, they also do blood work to make sure that the mother is healthy and it's okay for her to breastfeed. So having a baby is super expensive, but it's not only expensive. It requires a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of middle night diaper changes and middle night meals, and loads of laundry. And you're doing all these things while doing everything that you were doing before the baby came. And the most important part about being a mother or a father is making sure that your baby knows that they are loved. And you do this by supporting them on their first walk and listening to their first words and putting a Band-Aid on their first wound and kissing it, because somehow that makes everything better. Money can't do any of those things, and no amount of child support will ever be equivalent to nurturing and caring for a child. People also fail to realize the damage that they do to a child by being an absent parent. There are certain things that a child learns from each parent. And I'm not talking about the stereotypical things like mom will teach them how to cook and clean, and dad will teach them how to change a tire and cut the grass. I'm talking about behaviors that can't be modeled by one parent. Children need to grow up watching healthy interactions between two people. They need to learn how to take turns when having a conversation. And it doesn't have to be a relationship. This could be a friendship. And if they're not getting it at home, they're going to find it at school. And oftentimes children who have these same issues, they tend to gravitate towards each other. And at that point, it's like the blind leading the blind. And this will end up affecting them in school, their behavior, and mentally. The damage caused by an absent parent starts to show early on. Children start to question themselves, wondering how come they're not good enough to cause the other parent to want to stay. They start to think that maybe they're the reason that their parents split up and are no longer together. And they start to give themselves false hope that maybe that parent will come around one day. And in the end, they're just let down. And these kids are often the kids that start to act up in school. They don't get enough attention at home, and they learn that when they act out in school, they get attention. Even though it's negative attention, they still want it. Because if you're not getting any attention, negative attention is still better than no attention. These children are often the ones who are going to need counseling. And I'm not talking about the crappy school counseling with the poster boards and, "You hurt me, so I'm sad." I'm talking about real counseling. Counseling that will teach them how to express their feelings, get rid of that exploding anger, and help them deal with that anger and resentment that they have for the parent that they live with, the parent that's no longer around, and most importantly, like the anger that they have within themselves. Because if this is not fixed early on, they're going to make bad decisions in life, and they're not going to have any empathy or any type of compassion for other people. If it's not taken out early on, that kid doesn't stand a chance. Just because somebody has physical custody does not mean they're a good mother or father. Oftentimes people struggle with poor career choices, bad drug habits, unstable relationships, and unstable homes. And if they do receive child support, they migrate with their flock of paychecks from one place to another. And don't hate me for saying that, because I know people who are like that. I know people who use child support as a source of income and think that because they had so many kids, they get to stay home and do nothing. I also know people who take that child support and put it towards their child, and you can tell a difference between the upbringing of both. There are some people who take care of their kids. They make sure they have everything that they need. They pay all the bills. And then at the end of the month, the child support check comes in, and it's basically their reimbursement for the month. It's their payment from the other person. So they take that child support check and they put it in their bank account. And that's fine. That's great. I'm not complaining about that. You did your part. But there are also people who do less than the bare minimum for their children. They have them sitting there eating oatmeal cream pies and Twinkies all day. And then they get the child support check. And instead of going to buy groceries, they go and they spend it on themselves. And then they brag about it on Facebook. And that's what irritates me. That's what I have a problem with. So I talked with a couple of my friends who are single parents, and I wanted to know how life was for their children. I wanted to know anything that they could possibly tell me. And I talked to one person who told me about her daughter, and she's 6 years old, and she's happy and she's joyful and things like that. And even though she's only seen her father 3 times, she still recognizes him in pictures. And even though she doesn't directly come out and say that she misses him or she wants him around, you can kind of see it in her actions. And I asked her what's one of the hardest things about being a single parent. And she said 2 things. One of them is that children want someone to play with. They want someone to color with. They want someone to watch a movie with. And at this age, they haven't really gone to school yet. So the only friends that they know are the people around them. And it's hard for a mother to sit there and color a pony with her daughter while she needs to do loads of laundry and get ready for work the next day. I also asked her what are some of her fears regarding her daughter growing up without a father. And she let me know that she's worried about the type of relationship that she will have with men as she gets older. Her daughter is already super friendly with strangers, and that really makes her mom worry about what's going to come in the future. Another thing her mom's worried about is the daughter feeling jealous when she's at school and other people have their dads to come pick them up and she doesn't. I also asked her how being a single parent affects her. And she told me that after she had her child, that she suffered really badly from postpartum depression. And because there was no one else there, she never got the time to fully deal with it. And that put a mental strain on her. And it still, to this day, affects her ability to be a mother. Even though she completely wants to be there, she loves her child, she would do anything for her child, that strain is still there. She also let me know how difficult it is as a single parent to discipline the child. And I get where she's coming from. Growing up, when I did something really bad and my dad was super angry, my mom would come into my room and be like, hey, you need to go apologize. You know you need to go apologize. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going. But being a single parent, you don't have that. You don't have that backup. You don't have another parent there to play good cop, bad cop with. You don't have another parent there so at the end of the night, you guys can talk about different discipline strategies, ones that work well with the child. And not having another parent there makes it so much harder. In middle school, I had a friend, and every day during lunch, we would sit together and chat. And she used to tell me about how her dad had to learn to do her hair at a very young age, and that her dad taught her how to shave her legs, and that her dad taught her about her period. And she told me about how awkward that made her feel. And it was almost like when she was like telling me that it was more so in a question form, because like she didn't believe that her dad knew what he was talking about because he's not a female. And I remember we used to talk about these things all the time, and she ended up moving because her dad couldn't afford the mortgage on the home. So they moved into an apartment. And I haven't talked to her since, but I still think about things like that. Like, did her dad help her to prom? Did he have the sex talk with her? Did he tell her about self-esteem and boys and how all that works? And it just really made me think about how important it is for a child to have somebody in both roles growing up. So, to answer your question, is paying child support enough to call yourself a parent? I guess according to science, you're a parent, but that does not mean you're a mother or father. That's how I feel about it. Let me know how you feel in the comments. And also, let me know if you're a mother or father. All right, that's it. Also, I will start posting videos every Thursday. So if you're interested, hit the little bell and subscribe, and also hit the like.